Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to the Clayton and James show, where we're still recovering from last night's thriller at Old Trafford. Except Clayton didn't watch it. How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm gutted. Missed one of the games of the season, sounds
No,
like.
the game of the season so
Yeah,
far, mate, without a doubt.
unbelievable. I watched all the highlights and stuff, but yeah, obviously wish I could have sat through the 90 in it. It was you said the scoreline didn't do the game justice, and I can't comprehend that
Well,
after a fourth
no,
one.
the scoreline did do the game justice. I'm just telling you that it
It,
could have been more. It really could have been for both teams eventually. Bizarre game, and we're going to talk through the details of that shortly. We're also going to touch on these interesting comments from Enzo Maresca's last two press conferences with Chelsea. We are going to belatedly have a little look at the fixtures over the Christmas period, have a little look at day spacing, who's got the good fixtures over that kind of congested 4 week period between game weeks 18, 21. Highlight kind of real concern games in terms of perhaps rotation. Clayton's got a Euro focus, and I've got an on this day from during the COVID period, Clayton. But yes, we will start with that mental game last night, which kind of started with this interesting briefing early in the day that Ruben Amorim was considering changing system. And he'd previously said, I think back in September, like not even the Pope can like get me to change my system. He's kind of paraphrasing basically what he said. But then he openly admitted in the pre-game interview that not so much that they'd been working on it, but like he had to be prepared to be open-minded with Diallo, Bumo going to AFCON, and obviously Matswari, who can also play on the right side, wasn't available last night. And having watched the game, I don't know what to tell you in terms of whether that was a back four or whether it was as normal. But when I say as normal, there were definitely things in it were different. Like Diallo was drifting into like half space positions rather than just kind of holding the touchline as a right wing back. When they lost the ball and Bournemouth were in transition, Diallo was flying back. I think anyway, when they play with Diallo at wing back rather than say Dallo and Dorgu or Dallo and Matswari, whatever combination that is, or Luke Shaw, um, they have a lean towards Diallo's side. It's quite obvious, right? So it almost at times can form like a four and Diallo's higher. So it didn't feel that different. And one of the reasons it didn't feel that different was also hard to gauge, I think, was because that's the best half hour of football I've seen under Ruben Amorim's Manchester United.
oh
They
wow.
were outstanding in that opening half hour, Clates.
Yeah, I heard especially the front four, they were like very fluid in the way they were popping it, moving it, and stuff like that as well.
Absolutely bang on it. All the attacking players, everything just felt crisp. The speed, the movement of players, like was is Bumo playing right sided 10? Is he playing up front with Cunha? Cunha's dropping short, Mounts off the left, he's dropping in. Fernandez joining in as usual. Diallo high. It was really nice movement, fluidity, speed, what they were doing. At the same time, it's one of the worst half hours I think I've seen from Bournemouth.
Really? Okay.
Because with them, I think with them, you always feel like they're a match for anyone in terms of like the physicality element, particularly. I'm not even talking about strength, but the willingness to put the work in, put the opponent under pressure, winning duels, second balls. They massively weren't helped by Tyler Adams getting injured after 20 seconds. He's gone for a block challenge on Cunha and looks like it's kind of opened up his knee. Unfortunately, he is a player that does pick up injuries. That didn't help them. Alex Scott came on, played fine, but he's a different profile player to Tyler Adams. I don't know if that really disturbed them, but United were above everything we've seen previously, and Bournemouth were below it. And I know Bournemouth also have not been on a great run. I mean, it's about 7 games without a win now. But with Bournemouth, you always feel like they'll be competitive. United looked like they were going to destroy them in that opening half hour of the game. And they were very unlucky at that point to only be one goal ahead.
What
Could have been
changed
more.
after that 30 minutes? Like, was there a momentum shifter or something? Because I need to get the timeline of goals and stuff on my phone.
They're difficult to remember unless I go and look at it myself. But in that opening half, they had loads of chances. They created good stuff. United, like, couldn't you put one? I don't want to say on a plate for Boomer because he's ended up having to volley it on the full. Would have been
That
like a really
reminded
classic goal.
it was very
Van
different.
Persie goal, you're going to
Rudy
say,
Van
yeah.
Persie, yeah.
They said that on commentary as well. It was nowhere near like the Rooney Van Persie against Villa goal. But yeah, they really were playing well, United. It was the intensity and speed. And I've watched all of United's games recently, and you can feel like if you compare this particularly to the Everton and West Ham home games, like the Everton game against 10 men for the majority of the game, if they'd have played with this just speed,
Yeah.
they'd have wiped the floor with them. West Ham, quite lethargic at times. This, that someone had shoved a rocket up them. I don't know if there was an element as well of determination from certain players like Diallo and Bumo. I'm going off to AFCON. I want to really show before I go. Cunha and Mount building up fitness. It just seemed to click really nicely. And as I said, Bournemouth were off it. Then Bournemouth equalise. I don't want to kind of say suddenly, but Semenyo scores a really nice goal. Adam Smith wins a turnover. Semenyo's carrying it from the right hand side, and he gets his shot away. Strikes it really nicely
Great
with
finish.
the inside his foot off the post. Kind of classic. Hit it hard and low towards the far post, and if a keeper gets a touch, you might get a rebound in and stuff. He'd started on the left with Alex Jimenez played as the right-sided midfielder again. Alex Jimenez is a right back basically. They changed over during the game. I think that was something that helped because I think what happened was because Diallo was so high and wide, there was a lot of 1v1 Diallo versus Truffer. Truffer had a difficult game last night. So they swapped it over and then had Semenyo targeting that other side against Dallo. And that changed things a little bit for them. And then around about that period, they had a few other chances as well. And you thought, oh my, you could almost feel like someone popped a balloon at Old Trafford. And it felt like that at full time as well. Whereas like they played outstanding for half hour and they're not winning.
Yeah.
And they just absolutely deserve to be at this point. Then it becomes a more even game pretty much from there, pretty much till full time, basically, with both teams had more dominant spells. United score again, I think injury time in the first half. Fernandez corner to a back post. There's a lot of teams having weaknesses on back corners towards the back post in the league at the moment. Casemiro gets on the end of it. It's a nice little block, I think, from Yoro that stops Casemiro's runner coming with him. Petrovic in goal. He's great.
That's poor. Yeah.
He's in Such's FPL team, and he's massively regretting it. I know, I know he is. He's bollocks. He's poor.
Yeah, he's terrible.
He's not great in goal at all, and I don't know what happens in that moment. I did think towards the second half, I wondered if he might have been playing with an injury because he went down and got a bit of treatment at some point in the second half as well.
Is that the thing of when you're dropping a stinker and you pretend though? Like I've done that.
No, I don't. I don't think it was actually.
Okay.
And it wasn't one of them, like, oh, let's do the team talk kind of gig. I don't think it was one of them either. Yeah, he's got to do better with that Casemiro effort. Second half starts. Bournemouth score after like 20, 30 seconds. Really nicely constructed goal with Tavernier feeding through. He played really well. Evan Nilsson only scored one goal previously this season. Perfect finish. Right foot at you. Don't think about it. Left foot, like Semenyo off the far post as well. And then the game came a little bit basketball. He was like, this is fun. I'm really enjoying this now. Casemiro has to take a foul on Tavernier because he's running clear on transition. And he's a really good ball striker, Tavernier. He's not someone who within 20, 25 yards you want to let shoot. So eventually Casemiro has to bring him down right on the edge of the box, basically. Tavernier scores from the free kick anyway. And as a consequence, Casemiro is now suspended for the trip to Aston Villa on Sunday, on top of other players obviously going to AFCON and stuff. So you're going to get quite a changed Manchester United lineup at the weekend. They are going to look significantly weaker at Aston Villa at the weekend. So suddenly now, Bournemouth are winning. And it was a bit like Bournemouth have done really well to get themselves back in the game. But it was, how are Manchester United losing this? There's been games we watched like almost when they went ahead at Palace. It was like, I don't know how they've got in front here. Yeah. And actually, they played quite well after they got in front at Crystal Palace, quite strangely. This was, how are they behind?
When you speak about especially that first half hour and stuff, was it the speed, the intent was there, but like, were they creating and missing chances as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. So, yeah.
Yeah, loads.
So they should have been winning.
I mean, bizarre statistic for you from last night. The XG in the game is Manchester United was 3.4.
Jesus.
Yeah. Bournemouth 1.94. So Bournemouth's XG is big, right? United's is Massive. There's no penalty in here or anything. There's a really big XG in a one-off game. So Manchester United's XG basically 1.5 better than Bournemouth's. United had two big chances. Bournemouth had six.
Wow. I wonder how much Ahmad's one was.
Well, that obviously heavily influences the XG. I mean, he can't miss on that. I don't think they awarded the assist to Cunha. I think they give it
Did they
to
not know?
Dalot. I think Cunha touches it personally.
Me
But
too.
um, so Bournemouth then ahead, and then United get themselves back into it. Another brilliant free kick. Fernandez wins the free kick. A little bit controversial. I think probably correct handball decision given against Adam Smith. And he's absolutely buried this free kick. I'm not blaming a keeper
Top
on this one,
bins.
even though it's keeper's side. Like Lemons, I think on Tavernier's one, he jumps. I don't like that. Goalkeepers do this quite a bit. At the point someone's about to strike a free kick, you see a lot of keepers jump. I don't know what the theory behind that is. I don't know if it's so like when you land, your knees are bent and then you propel, but can't you just take a step and propel? We see that with free kicks, don't we? It's like, oh, keeper takes a step to his left and then it comes back his side and he's buried.
Yeah.
On that Lemons one, it's like he jumps. He's not the only goalkeeper I see do it. I don't. Have you got a theory behind that? I don't know why it is.
Now that you said it,
Other
I'm
than
not going to unsee
is it
it.
to jump over the wall and see?
Maybe, but then that wouldn't make any sense. I
It's
don't
not
know.
a big jump. It's almost like just a not even like half a foot jump.
What you said makes sense. Maybe it is the like as you land, you've got the momentum to propel off. But I don't know. I haven't really noticed that. So now that you said it, I want to look out for it.
But if you've got to take steps, that's rough.
Yeah,
Land and then steps.
I'm
If
old
the
school.
ball's going top bin, you've got to move one side or the other, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm literally like set your wall up to cover one side, you cover the other. Bosh.
I'm not a goalkeeper expert, and I'm not pretending to be. On that Petrovic one with the Fernandez free kick, yeah, he takes a step, but he's never getting there anyway. Bruno hits it so well. Another big hauler for FPL owners you've got, haven't you,
I
Clates?
do, yeah. I've had Bruno for a while, and I was getting itchy feet in that period where Bumo had a little period where he was doing well,
I
and
don't know how Bruno didn't return last night.
yeah,
I don't know. He
well,
had
now
chances.
it's. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll cover this later, but sorry, yeah, I do have Bruno, but yeah, with Man United now with people going to AFCON and stuff, it is interesting to see what people will do. Like for Boomer owners, do they pivot elsewhere within Man United? Do they look in other teams at similar value? So yeah,
So they get themselves 3-3. They should be winning the game, probably. Bournemouth at this point are playing much better, at least defensively. And actually, despite it being a bit carnage, like I thought Marcus Senesi actually played quite well at centre back. He seemed to intercept so much stuff last night. I don't know what he was on the DEFCONs, but he must have got DEFCON last night, surely. But when United equalised, it's one of them where you concede a goal at an away ground, you're like, we're going under now.
yeah,
You feel it. And pretty much next attack, United go back in front. Truffaut fails to cut out a cross and it falls to Cunha. He takes the touch out of his feet. It's one of them he scored before he takes the shot. And it felt like a period of they'd been in control, they'd played well, they'd lost the game, they'd won it back. It was almost like perfect. If you could write it down for like a fairy tale story for a kid, it would look something like this. And from there you think, okay, it's in the bag. They probably deserved this. They've attacked really well during the course of the
how
game.
did they play for the following 5 minutes? Because I know they
So
then
by this point,
conceded,
what they've
but
done at this point, they did change system, definitely. At this point, at 3-2 down, they went 4-2-4. So Bumo was right up front with Sesko. Cunha basically played off the left. Diallo right wing. Mino had come on for Casemiro as a midfield two. Shaw had gone to left back. Dallo behind that right back. Definitely at that period, definitely 4-2-4 chasing the game. And I have a bit of sympathy for United and Amram in terms of what happened next. Because I think you're almost damned if you do and damned if you don't. The way they were attacking at that point, you think, we get another, we make this 5-3 and we'll take it away from them completely. But as soon as it went 4-3, I thought, yeah, I'd be changing the system right now. I'd be taking Bumo off or something and putting it back to how you defend properly. Because Bournemouth love a transition game.
yeah,
They love it as well. They're not frightened to go to war and have like a basketball match with someone. And the game carried on at that kind of pace. And then again, right through the centre of United's defence, a few minutes later, falls to Krupi, who's come on for Evan Nielsen. He scores a beautiful finish as well. 4-4. And you think, I don't want this game ever to end. I don't think even the referee did. He ended up playing 10 minutes added on in the second half. And I think he just did it for shits and giggles because it was brilliant. And in that period of added time, Bournemouth were the likelier winner. David Brooks had two brilliant
Yeah,
chances and easily could have won the game. And at the end, I think after a game like that, most people would go, if you're United, you'd obviously be really disappointed. But when you settle down the moment, you'll clap it. I remember being at White Hart Lane when you beat us 5-4.
yeah,
Crazy game back in 2004. And although we just lost the derby, we were obviously playing a team that was much better than us. At the end, got it. Okay, they deserve clapping off today. They've given a good account of themselves. And that definitely happened at Old Trafford, but then it felt like deflated again. And the faces on the United player, particularly Bruno Fernandes, we just wanted the ground to swallow up. Like, how have we not won this football match? And in the other corner, all the Bournemouth players have gone over to their crowd, and quite rightly, really happy with a point at Old Trafford. I know they've won there the last couple of games. You see Antonio Iriola's interview after the game. I thought it was funny as hell, actually. It was great. It was proper chilled out. Like, yeah, sometimes shit happens in a football match and it's all out the window and both teams are trying to win it. And you could tell he really enjoyed it.
yeah. That's
Whereas
nice.
obviously for Amrim, it's the pressure is Manchester United home game. You got to win, and obviously the consequence of the recent slip ups in home games, and they've missed a few opportunities to like push themselves into like fourth basically.
I guess they'll be encouraged though. But from what you, like I said, I didn't watch the full 90. But from what you're describing in that first 30, they'll surely be encouraged with because after Newcastle, who do
But
they
you've
have?
got to
They
wait
got
a
a
month
decent
for this encouragement again now, probably. No, truthfully, because
because
like I
of the
said,
players going.
if you look at the weekend now at Villa, you're taking out Casemiro, Diallo, and Boomer out of that team. And I had to think about this last. I think Lissandro Martinez will probably come back in the team now.
For who?
Probably Aiden Heaven.
Oh yeah,
So I thought he played really well in the first half yesterday and was really comfortable. You know, they like to push the centre back into like a sixth position. Actually, he did that as well as I've seen anyone else do that in that position for United. Really comfortable on the ball and stuff, but the actual defensive stuff needs a bit more leadership back in there, I think. I could see Martinez coming back in, and you look at the rest and you think, well, Mino probably in for Casemiro. Sesko will come in, presumably, for one of Bumo Diallo, but they're short of forward options. So is it like Ugarte back in as well?
yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think they'll have to change the way they attack without Boomer and Diallo and Sesko coming in as well. I mean, Sesko came on as a sub, right? Was there any differences there in how they
He's had the run away for the goal
Cunha
that leads
ones? Yeah.
to Cunha's goal. He's obviously a different profile of player to the others. So with him, I mean, he's a giant as well. He's like 6'5", 6'6", isn't he? You don't want him as part. He's got a lovely strike on him from long range and stuff. We've seen historical of that with Red Bull Leipzig. But you wouldn't want him in the link play in the way Cunha Mount interchange. You don't want Sesko to end up like
No.
right wing and all that. So you're a little bit more stationary structured, if you will, with a Sesko on the
Yeah.
pitch. I said
Yeah.
he'll. I mean, they could play him and Xerxes obviously could come in as well,
Forgot
but
about
he's
Xerxes.
nowhere near as strong
No, and
than what we saw
this is
last night. So
yeah.
they're not going to carry any momentum from last night
No,
into
but
the weekend, and the game's coming up.
then there's the period after, right, where like Newcastle see what state they're in when they play them, and then Wolves leads Burnley. They'll be hoping that, regardless of who's available, they're able to just kind of play with that same intent that you described from yesterday.
Yeah, which once it's settled down, and I think when you're watching a game like that, you don't want to think about tactics too much. You just want to enjoy the football match and stuff. When it's settled down, I'm trying to then think about this idea of United in a back four in forthcoming games. So this has gone around as a rumor. Amrim kind of almost was open to it, saying, yeah, it's going to be a bit different. We 100% definitely saw it 3-2 down last night that they went to a back four. I try to figure out what that looks like with no Diallo and no Bumodo. Like, who would play right wing for Manchester United in that system?
Could you see Cunha like in a very
It's got to be Cunha or
unconventional,
Mount, isn't it?
yeah, in a very unconventional way, and then maybe pair him with a more overlapping profile of right back?
But then the irony of this is weirdly that you now maybe shift to a back four at a period where you don't have
Where you don't
anyone.
have the right people for
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, we've done it a lot. We've gone, if United played a back four, this team looks
Yeah, but
brilliant. Da, da, da,
not
da,
now
da.
without
And
Bumo
now I'm
Diallo.
looking at it and going, and I get it because I think definitely he's looking at it going, if they play wing backs with like Dallo and Dorgo, or if he moves, might even move Luke Shaw into left wing back, it's another way to bring Martinez in. If it's something like that, he can't have that imbalanced lean that he had last night. Like, it's not happening. You'd probably have to do it with Dallo.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think it's
Diallo's the only
quite
one I
so
can think of on the
comfortable.
right.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the bizarre bit. I'm like, hang on, this now. I'm not sure this is right. I think it's probably got to be Cunha on the right, isn't it?
Why do you
The
think
way
he's?
Matthias Cunha played in Sanctuaries last night, I wouldn't want to take him out there.
Yeah, he's so good at yeah, he's just a nuisance to
Right
kind of
on radar
track
for
and stuff
fantasy, by the way.
for sure.
Right on radar.
Would you? Do you think people should consider Sesko for the upcoming period?
I think you'd need to take the Villa game as a judgment.
Yeah,
If he does well in the game at Villa, and then you're looking afterwards, it's home games, Newcastle, Wolves, trips to Leeds, Burnley. Just ultimately, if you think he's going to play the position in those games and he looks fitness wise on it, then he would have to be a consideration as a third forward option potentially. Um, Cunha has said will be on radar. Those who don't own Bruno Fernandes, this is what it's capable of. It's why so many people captained him against West Ham. It doesn't need a lot for him to be taking the top bonus and stuff away from him. Mason Mount also
he's been
wants
playing very well,
consideration
hasn't
because
he?
you'd have to imagine that his minutes would be pretty strong going forward. And I thought he was really good in the first half again. He was great at Wolves last week. He was really good in the first half. Defensively, wouldn't go anywhere near them. So this idea of Dallo's going to play a lot and stuff like that, they're going to be under more pressure on these games as well as consequence of not having quality like Bumo. And I mean, for me, Diallo's in terms of their structure is probably going to be the bigger miss than if Bumo's out. Right, we'll play Mount. With Diallo, that's what we're sitting here
He's
going.
a
What do
very
they do
unique
on the right
profile in
wing?
that squad. Yeah,
Matsurawi would have been the most probably natural fullback, even.
yeah, it'll be
Dallo
Dallo,
plays
won't it?
that side. I think Amram's a bit cold on Dorgu now. That's why it could be that Luke Shaw gets pushed forward. So this is like an isolated. It almost felt a little bit like a final a little bit last night for
What do you mean?
United. Yeah, just because it almost felt like an end point, right? We know these guys are going now.
Right.
I don't think we. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they carry anything from that, other than ultimately attacked really well, defended not great, but actually take a deflated, missed opportunity feeling into one of the toughest away games of the season this weekend. And then there's good fixtures afterwards. You think you've
Yeah,
got to do well, that. Listen, if they played like that last night, they'll beat Wolves, Leeds, Burnley comfortably. And offensively, they did give Villa quite a bit of problem at the weekend. But I don't know if they will. I think Diallo particularly is so integral to that. He's such a great little ball carrier.
yeah. I think it's a case of like this weekend was going to be tough regardless. So just get through it best they can, and then I think they'll bounce back after for the next few. I think they'll be fine. Like I don't disagree that the players will be a miss, especially Diallo. But I think in those fixtures after Villa and possibly after Newcastle, I think they should be fine with what they've got available. And I think they'll have periods where they play the way you kind of described, especially like Wolves at home. Like, although the irony of like they made it very tough against Arsenal, but
We noticed, Clay. You got
fucking
anything to
hell,
say for yourself or
Jesus, mate.
changed your trousers a few times or
I
not?
did change my trousers a few times. Yeah, flipping hell, man. But yeah, I think United will be fine. I think the timing of this game is a bit annoying for those reasons, but I think they'll be fine.
uh, Bruno Fernandez go get, I think, for most people for your fantasy teams, but not if you're not on, I don't think this week away to Villa. See how it looks as well in terms of you'll have a better idea of their structure. Mount, Cunha on right on radar as potential ones for this Christmas period. I think Cunha, I'll probably be a bit surprised if I don't end up with
I was going to say, who do you have right now? Just Boomer.
from United.
Yeah.
Fernandez.
Oh, just okay.
Hey, I made 40 points from my 4 transfers this week.
God, like and subscribe, people. I'm looking at an expert.
I mean, probably should have been on Phil Foden a little bit earlier. Probably should have been on Bruno Fernandes a little bit earlier. Harry Wilson. And the only one that was a bit of a letdown was your prick, Hincapi, Defcon. And what I sold was Boomo 2 point, a Minter 2 pointer, and two players that were unavailable. So it was unbelievably a net 40 point game from the four.
That's unreal.
For Bournemouth, Burnley at home next. Brentford away afterwards. Then games against Chelsea and Arsenal really tough. So kind of mixed bag for them coming up. There'll certainly be interest in Semenyo. I think for those who want to get there, the fact that the monkey's off the back, he hadn't scored in since game week 7 or something.
Is that
That's
right?
good. He hasn't scored for ages, mate. It's like
I
17 points in about 7 game weeks
I
or
knew he
something,
hadn't
Semenyo.
scored. No, I didn't realize it was since like game week 7. Bloody hell!
Yeah, I think, yeah, when he got the two against Fulham was the last time he scored, I think, on that
Wow.
Monday night game. Another Monday night. Um, but he wasn't that involved in most of Bournemouth's best goal scoring moments last night. Thinking back on it, other than the goal, what was it that was him close to scoring or him specifically creating? Wasn't actually. It was other players more, the guys in more central roles. I think Marcus Tavernier is a really interesting one. I tipped him up for someone on one of my streams last week and said, I think that's a decent option for you over the Christmas period. I think he's 5'5", I want to say, Marcus Tavernier. He's got a beautiful shot on him.
Yeah.
We can't say with certainty that he wouldn't be the penalty taker. Remember, he did take their last penalty and Semenyo missed at Villa. So there's a possibility he might even be on the pens.
He does get into the box subtly as well. Like I think there was one
Yeah.
cross where the United keeper saved it from him, and then if it ricocheted, it would have gone straight back to him as well. He does subtly get into these nice areas in the box and stuff. I like him as a pick. He's in my draft team actually.
Yeah, he's under consideration for me because he fixes a possible Dewsbury Hall hole for me.
True.
And I go, oh, that's all right for a few. Um, Krupi Jr. is also on radar for me. As much as I
Really?
want to stay with a front three, I do keep looking at it. I can go Voltemade to Krupi and I can go Dewsbury Hall, whatever I want. We'll go to Semenyo if that's what I want to do. But yeah, Marcus Tavernier is interesting to me. Defensively, I wouldn't look at the moment. Senesi owners are going to keep for the next couple. I'd be very uncomfortable with the quality of the defensive stuff around it at the moment. I think they've conceded most goals away from home in the league now.
Wow.
So as much as you look at them and go, good side, for FPL purposes, if you're playing them at home, it's pretty much a green fixture.
Yep.
And that might be noted for those who say Brentford or Chelsea assets in 18-19 respectively. Great game. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't want it to end. And if it had carried on non-stop, by the way, I think Bournemouth probably would have won it. But overall, across the whole game, that would have been so harsh on United if they'd lost. Let's talk Chelsea.
Yeah. What
So,
is going on here?
well, they've had a difficult run, I think. Obviously, played yourselves, and they had that rough, awful schedule of a week with Leeds away afterwards. Leeds changed system just before as well when they narrowly lost at Manchester City. We knew he'd play around with the team in that game. He did. He said himself he regretted it. But part of that was knowing you got the intensity of Bournemouth 3 days later. 0-0 at Bournemouth, acceptable. Then lost in Italy to Atalanta 3 days later as well. So from that, as a Sunday to Tuesday period, that was a rough schedule, man. 3 away games after playing yourselves at home. Okay, fine. Fast forward 4 days, beat Everton. Everton have got a brilliant away record since David Moyes returned. Kind of even game first half by the sounds of it. End up winning fairly routinely 2-0, kind of just what the doctor ordered. And then he has this really strange press conference afterwards, Enzo Maresca, where he says this has been my worst 48 hours at the club.
I
And I was
didn't watch
thinking, I'm sure the last week was a lot worse than this. Like to the naked eye, you just won.
I didn't watch that press conference in full, but obviously I've seen the clips doing the round. Was he? How did that initial comment come up? Was he
Well, he
asked?
brought it up. No, he
Yeah,
brought it up.
that's how it came across from the shorts I saw.
Yeah, he brought it up. It was something that he wanted to bring up. So he was asked about Malo Gusto scoring because Malo Gusto, I mean, he scored first goal I want to say against Wolves, and that was his
Yeah,
second goal. So like London buses, literally, he scored a brilliant goal, great link up with Neto at the weekend. He was asked about Gusto, and Maresca says, "This is the reason why I praise the players because with so many problems, they are doing very well after a complicated week." Since I joined the club, so it's about Malagusto. It's not that. Since I joined the club, the last 48 hours has been the worst 48 hours since I joined the club because many people don't support us. So very happy for Mallow in that moment that the effort from Mallow and the rest showed that they are all there and want to help this club. Well, it's kind of a given. When pressed on it, he said, "Worst 48 hours since I joined the club because people didn't support me in the team." Then asked if it was internal issues or if it was like the fact that he felt that the supporters weren't backing him. He said, "In general, I love the fans and I'm very happy with the fans." Then he was given opportunity to like say, "Is it upstairs?" and he just diverted it.
Yeah, I read that as it's very much an internal thing, and I think we've
So we don't know factually that he was digging out the guys running the football club, but that's the interpretation that we almost have to take from this.
that's how I took it. And then I think I've seen a few. You have to be careful with the ITKs, but I've seen a few Chelsea ones coming out and saying there has been a few things internally where they've been questioning his methods. Questioned, they've asked him to justify certain things and stuff. And like, I'm sure we saw this with Tuchel at some point as well. And I don't know, mate. I can understand it. Like, I think he's a very good manager. I can understand if it is infuriating when like you've kind of delivered the Club World Cup for them. He won something else. My mind's gone blank. He's won two
Conference League
Conference League. Sorry, that was it. Uh, yeah,
and
Conference League.
qualified for the Champions League via the league as well.
Yeah, so like I think he's done a good job with them. So I can imagine it is a bit infuriating if you're having a little wobbly patch and then you kind of he maybe is perceiving it as a bit of being patronized and stuff internally. So I do get it, but there's some big words to say the
But
worst
what's
40.
happened? What's happened? This is the kind of what's happened in those 48 hours.
So
He's had a conversation with someone that's upset him.
yeah, and again,
God's
this is
sake.
what the only vibe I got was again the ITK stuff where people were saying internally, supposedly, they were going and questioning him on certain decisions and asking him to justify selections and stuff like that. And that's where I imagine that can be incredibly infuriating during the schedule you just mentioned, the type of things you have to navigate. Like there's a timing on things, right? If you're on the back of that, I can understand why that would be very frustrating. If
Yeah,
that's what's happened.
I said this. I want to say on one of the pods on Friday, or so it might have been yesterday. That I think he's close to the elite
I
in
think
terms of
so.
his capability as a manager. Like someone asked me yesterday, that if he left, would you have him at Tottenham? I'm like, yeah, 100%, yeah, no doubt about it,
Yeah,
definitely.
he's very good.
He's still young and learning, so he's got scope to improve as a manager. He's acknowledged things like he wasn't himself happy with his own selection in the game at Leeds. He's not bullshit anyone. He's come out and been honest about it. That schedule was rough. I think about Gary Mantle's words always. Me says, look, they're so young, and they are pretty much the youngest squad in the league in terms of starting players and stuff. That you will get inconsistencies with them. So I never really, before they played you, it was like, if Chelsea win this, could they challenge for the title? You can have too many like inexperienced players in the moments that matter. If they keep it all together and add in the right bits, one of the things we'd heard months ago was that he was really pissed off that they didn't get him a centre back in the summer after Levi Colwell obviously suffered the ACL injury. And they let it go and then they're still adding young players from, I don't know how much say he's got in transfers and stuff. And I don't know if he maybe thought that right after winning the Club World Cup and stuff, he'd get more of a, I want this player, go and get it for me. And it seems that's not how they're going to operate. He would have known that, in fairness, when he walked in the door.
Yeah.
Whether he's maybe thought that will change a bit now and maybe wants to, like, right, I've been here, I've shown you I'm good now. Can you support me? And they're going, no, actually, we don't think you do need a centre back. Like, if you're the manager, you're going to get pissed off, but that's also the situation that he knew that he was going to walk into. Imagine
Yeah,
you
but
put a world class left sided centre back for Chelsea and a world class number 9 in this team at the moment. You would go, ain't far away.
oh yeah, for sure. But then those factors I feel like would have pissed him off earlier in the season because like Colwell got injured so early on and like he spoke about that earlier on in the season around August, right? So like I don't know, the timing of it now is a bit odd. That's what I don't quite wrap my head around.
Yeah, they've got to be careful here.
Who's that? Chelsea
Everybody,
or okay?
everybody, Chelsea, the manager, the owners. I think you'd mentioned Tuchel earlier. So if they end up in a position where Maresca's like, what's this? if Maresca took Chelsea to third or something, got to Champions League quarter final and stuff, and then suddenly like Barca Madrid jobs are coming up and stuff, his name's going to get mentioned with them,
Yeah, I
and he
think
might
so.
go, "This is for me." And I think they're onto a good thing there, personally. I know there's times we've questioned it. I think it's building quite nicely for Chelsea. I've said their objective at the end of this season should be that the season finishes and then they look at next season and think we can win this.
Yeah, I agree with
That
that.
should be the objective. That ain't probably going to be how it feels if it's change manager again. And if that happens and Chelsea do hit that end of the season where the fans think, yeah, do you know what? It's close. It doesn't mean you have to win it, but feel like we can. And then they change again. Yeah, people are going to start asking questions of them upstairs and go, what is this? Because a lot of the ethos, when they appointed Potter and stuff, it was like, oh, this is project stuff. Appointed Maresca, it wasn't like oh, he's going to win the league now in year one. I don't think Pochettino was going to be that manager as well. So actually, what are you appointing here? And what actually do you want? And I think if he does really well and then it changes again, Chelsea fans will start asking questions of what's going on upstairs, the way their football club's being run from an on pitch perspective.
Yeah, I don't have I have quite a few mates of different clubs. I don't have too many that are Chelsea fans, so I'm not so aware
Like,
of
no
what.
one's got any Chelsea mates.
I'm,
Sorry.
I set that
I've
one
got
off.
loads of Chelsea patrons. I've just lost about 50.
But like I'm not so as in tune with knowing what is the feeling amongst Chelsea fans towards Maresca. But like from the outside looking in, I'm with you. I think they're onto a good thing there. And again, I look at depending where they finish this. I feel like people fall into the camp of like they've spent the £1 billion that they should be challenging for the league. And I'm not quite there because to what you said about Gary, like they are a young squad. I think fair enough, you can look at the amount of money spent, but you do have to assess the quality in front of you. And I don't think they're quite there yet. But like you say, you add a world class defender, you add a world class nine, and with this manager, I think they can challenge for the league for sure with the right additions, the right luck with injuries. So
Historically, when they've gone 4 games without a win, people in the media go, oh, it's under pressure because that's what Chelsea do, right? They churn and turn. They just had the 4 games. Arsenal, Leeds, Bournemouth, Atalanta. No wins, right? 2 defeats in there as well, in games that they wouldn't really expect to lose. It never occurred to me once after that
no,
Atalanta game, oh, he's under pressure.
no, me
I
either.
just went, that was just a really rough 9 days that you had there.
I do think they were fucking excellent against us as well, by the way. Even
Yeah, I mean,
like,
we had circumstance of the 10 men against yourselves. Yeah,
yeah,
it
like
deserves the
they
point that they got.
yeah, they were very good. So I look,
And then there's that effort of that to then go into the 3 games
I
afterwards. Yeah,
know
there's plenty of reasons behind what happened for that week.
there will always be good managers available that will fill the job at Chelsea, but I can't shake this feeling that yeah, they're onto a good thing. And to the point where with my Arsenal hat on, I'm almost like I wouldn't mind if there was a bit of disruption in the continuity they've got going on there because
Agreed.
yeah, I do believe that. Sure, if they go and get a Luis Enrique and stuff, then fair enough. But like, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
I felt,
that actually, yeah, no, take that back.
but I do feel like they're onto a good thing with this guy. So yeah, one to watch.
No, I agree. Would Luis Enrique want to walk in there though with getting told which players you're having and stuff like that?
I think he'd back himself to work his way up and shut them down. We'll see. I don't think he's.
This is possibly going to be a problem moving forward. That needs sorting out, I think. The other reason it's a bit odd, timing wise, is now, like I said, after Atalanta, the 4th game of that period, no one was, oh, he's under pressure, he might lose his job. No one was thinking that at all. Now, people are aware. You've got games coming up that are challenging. They've got a rough Christmas schedule, Chelsea.
I need to get the fixtures. Who have they
One
got?
one of the toughest sets of schedules coming up. So Chelsea this week go to Newcastle in the lunchtime kickoff. It's not ideal. It's worth saying Chelsea won lunchtime games at Burnley and Nottingham Forest, keeping clean sheets. They've got another 12:30 away game. They play at Cardiff tonight. Imagine they lose to Cardiff tonight. I'm sure they won't, but imagine if they did. Newcastle Saturday lunchtime, then Villa at home, flying. Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth at home 3 days after you play Villa.
That's tough. Yeah, that's going to take a lot out of them that
It's
week.
also it's 3 days after Bournemouth's previous game, as well as we'll talk about in a second. So that can go both ways. Then they go to City. Then they finish their Christmas period with Fulham away,
Yeah, the
local
famous
game.
West London derby.
Famous, heated, one-sided hatred. It's definitely
Yeah.
not from Chelsea. So now it's like, oh, if they do lose a game, we're all reacting again. Was everything okay? It's just,
It's created a thing that didn't need to
yeah,
be there, right?
yeah, 100%. There's no one, but this is it as well. It's like a surprise. There's certain things with managers you feel like, oh, it's building here. This wasn't one of them.
No, something's definitely triggered him that he needed to get off his chest. I
So
wonder if
I
he
don't know if there's a
regrets it.
criticism of him as well in the fact that should he be speaking out about it?
I mean, yeah, possibly, right? Like, if we're saying he's created this thing that wasn't really a thing, then maybe, but we don't know what's going on internally. There's so much politics in this
This
game of
also
football.
happens quite a lot. To put things like this can get said to like, oh, don't focus on my players today. They were shit. They
Yeah.
beat Everton. They had a good day. Yeah, we need to watch it. Chelsea do have one of the roughest schedules over the Christmas period, as said, in terms of their fixtures. I've got them across game weeks 18 to 21, 17th on my ticker. The only three teams I've got with a more difficult schedule are Bournemouth, Aston Villa, and that's mainly because there's trips to Chelsea, Arsenal, and Crystal Palace in there. And Leeds, I think, have got the roughest schedule of all. Sunderland, Liverpool, Newcastle all away, and Manchester United at home. But what I wanted to highlight, and those who could see the table on I've got on YouTube, and I might post this on socials in a reply to the podcast as well, just so you can have a look at it. It's a table that shows the fixtures 18 to 21, so these condensed kind of 4 week period, and the numbers in between the fixtures show rest days between the games. So red are 3 days, the brown orange is 4 days, and then the green is a 5 day gap between fixtures. I think the first thing to say is what you'd said before we started, Clates, when you looked at this was actually there's not too bad of a spread here. From a day spacing period, there's not anyone you go, oh, they've got it worse than everybody else. Like everybody's got at least 1 3 day turnaround.
Yeah, and I look at that gap in between 20 and 21. When's that? That's like start of Jan, right? Um, and I look at that and like everyone is 3 or 4 days, apart from Arsenal, where we've got the 5 days to Liverpool. But everyone typically has the same gap, right? And similar in 1920. Yeah, there's 3 or 4 teams there that have the extra day. But there's nothing that I looked at from this in isolation that screamed out to me like, oof, that's a big red flag. Really need to be aware of that. It's going to be tough on teams, but it does look like it's relatively well spread, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think those at the bottom, what you don't want is is actually it's the fixtures that are really rough. So Everton, for example, we spoke about this, and you'll hear it on Clash of Correspondence tomorrow with Sean Norton and Adam Pritchard. We speak about once this Arsenal game gets out of the way, they fly to the team, top of people's tickers. Burnley away, Forest away, Brentford at home, Wolves at home, with pretty much 75% of their attack possibly injured.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see the Jack Grealish chasing. There'll be another name after tomorrow that people might begin to start talking about from Everton a little bit more as well.
Go on.
Um,
Get ahead of the curve.
okay, Charlie Alcaraz. Not
Oh.
this week, afterwards, maybe. So that's a great run of fixtures for them. And also, when I look at Everton, this is where you have to take context of certain teams in. Everton have got Ndiaye Gay going to AFCON, Dewsbury Hall probably injured, Tiano Barry might be one, rotates with Beto and stuff. Everton don't piss about with the team too much. So Everton play Burnley in 18, then play Forest 3 days later. Everton won't change the team much. Not really concerned about that. Whereas West Ham have Fulham at home and Brighton at home, 3 days apart. We can look from a fancy perspective, by the way. You don't have to worry about Jared Bowen.
Yeah.
But if you look at, say, the team West Ham picked at Manchester United and then picked at Brighton, right, there was lots of personnel changes and there was a change of system. So you'll get more probably churn with that. That might be different with Diouf Wan-Bissaka also going to AFCON.
What about with City, where it's 5 days, then two back-to-back three
So I
days?
think what we want to do is, yeah, you're quite right. Have a look at the teams that are most of interest to us here and work out where we should be concerned, maybe from a rotation perspective. Now, City play Forest. That's our Clash of Correspondence pod next week with Mark Summons and Johnny Pringle will be out on Christmas Eve for you. City go to Forest, then there's a 5 day gap behind Sunderland. That's all right. It's fine. And remember, other than Arsenal, Crystal Palace, no one plays in the midweek before this. And even in the case of Arsenal, Crystal Palace, it's on Tuesday the 23rd. There's a gap till their next games. You play Brighton on the Saturday or the Sunday? I forget.
It's on the 27th, so that's the Saturday.
27th, that's the Saturday. So
Yeah.
4 day gap. Palace play my team. Sorry, beat my team on the Sunday. So that's a 5 day gap, right? So there's no concerns before this. And also the reason I haven't looked at the spacing after this is everyone is FA Cup third round afterwards. So you would expect some rotation now. In most cases, there's a few, like my club, it's landed badly with the Tottenham Villa game being on a Saturday. Because we have a period now where it will go Palace to Brentford 4 days, to Sunderland 3 days, to Bournemouth 3 days, to Villa 3 days in a cup. Shy. I actually wanted a crap Monday night slot for that one, just to give me a bit of break. Now, in fairness, Villa go to Palace 3 days earlier. So in that immediate game, it's the same, but ours is a consequence of a longer problem. City has said Forest, then 5 days later go to Sunderland. So the Forest game doesn't look like any issue whatsoever. Midweek before, he picked whatever he thinks his strongest team is. And then you think, well, as a consequence, then Sunderland. But in 3 days after that, it's Chelsea at home.
Like, but then
I think the instinct is like, right. So he just trots out what he could. Sunderland, there's only two teams ain't lost at home this season. Sunderland are one of them.
But then they'll be AFCON hit, right? So I wonder.
They are, but they've got a few players coming back and a few players you haven't seen yet, like Romain Mundle. So I think that the biggest miss is going to be like Siddiqui in the middle of the pitch is the biggest miss, and a little bit of a consequence of Reynaldo left back. They'll be the biggest misses, I think, for Sunderland. Spine-wise, other than Siddiqui, it's the same. As I said, they've got a few players like Romain Mundle suddenly becoming available who haven't been. So, but in any case, what I do keep saying is if you go to Sunderland and you're not 100%, you're going to get beat. It's clear. He's one in places you're going to go under.
I do look at that and I think, okay, Sunderland, Chelsea, Brighton, with the spacing, maybe there will be some changes. But he has been pretty. I think he's found something that's working, right? And I like, especially with the back four, I feel like he's left it relatively unchanged for a sustained period. So maybe there won't be as many changes as we anticipate.
No, I don't think it probably won't be. Because I don't think the fixtures allow it. So Sunderland and then Chelsea 3 days later, I think it's like, can you go again? You're literally going into a period of going, right, recovery, rest, play.
Yeah.
The one benefit of picking a consistent team is, he chops about so much. He's got like this idea for this game, this idea for that game. Okay, got an idea. He knows what Chelsea will do in that game. Reece James will play in midfield with Casado. Like he'll be able to see that coming.
Yeah.
Then it's Brighton at home 3 days after that. So then again, I think so. The dangerous one, I think, for fantasy is actually the Brighton game.
Yeah, that one you'd almost
just a consequence of 3 days, 3 days, 3 days.
Yeah,
being the last one.
I think you'd rather that's the one because I think you'll have 3 games of information to make a more informed prediction come then anyway.
Yeah. Manchester United will be popular over this period. So Newcastle at home is Boxing Day. United spacing is pretty good here. So it's United Boxing Day, 4 days till the Wolves home game, then 5 days till the Leeds away game, then a 3-day turnaround for the last one at Burnley. So it's only really the Burnley game on that I'd be a bit concerned about, even for the likes of Mason Mount here.
And even that, it's 3 days, but if you look at it in the course of 8 days, it's 2 games in then, right? So like it's more manageable as a block. So I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. Newcastle, again, because they played Boxing Day against Manchester United. Remember, that's the only game on Boxing Day. 4-day gap to a trip to Burnley, then 5-day gap to Crystal Palace. And here's the ugly one. 3-day gap before playing Leeds at home. So you look at that and you think, right, if he's going to rotate, I'll give Vissa my first start. And that's not to say that won't come earlier, by the way. But for example, I'll give Guimaraes a break, for example. It's that Leeds game, isn't it?
I've got to be honest. Tell me if you think I'm being naive. I don't think it's. I look at it the same as the Man United thing. I think the spacing between the first two's fine, and then sure 3 days, but like 3 days is no different to what teams do when they're playing in Europe and stuff, right? And I look at it as
Newcastle are struggling to manage it.
True, but like I don't know. I look at it as like Palace Leeds 2 games in 8 days as opposed to Leeds 3 days after Palace, if that makes sense. I feel like you can look at it as a block and a pair, and it's more manageable. and maybe you manage it through 60-30 splits and stuff. But I don't know. I'm not as concerned as most people seem to be. I,
But if, from a fantasy perspective, if you've owned a Newcastle player and you're saying, right, I'm going to get this Newcastle, let's say you get the game week 19, you got all Burnley, Leeds, and by the way, after this in 22 is Wolves, I think, as well for Newcastle. So you're looking beyond. It's the Leeds fixture in 21 has got to be the one you think, well, if I was to get a Gimres left out or something like that, he's not going to rest Gimres against Palace, is he? Like, if
I,
he was going to do it, it's the Leeds game, isn't it?
yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is I don't see
You're
it
not
happening.
concerned.
No, I'm not.
I
Maybe
think they've got
that'll
enough. They've
come.
got enough cooks in offensive areas where you've got Barnes, Gordon, Elanga, Murphy, Joe Linton's been absent. Got
Like
Visser now available to challenge Voltemade.
yeah, I think from that perspective, there'll be an opportunity to like get people minutes in, but it's more that than I see Bruno needs a rest kind of thing, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, I'm not really concerned about the spacing and people needing rest. I'm more what you've just said there of like, oh, is it an opportunity to get people reintegrated? That's more my thing that I believe, I guess.
Once Liverpool get through this weekend, there's these back-to-back home games with Wolves and Leeds,
Yeah,
which
that's
has
a nice
probably
pair.
been ringed in people's minds since pre-season. Actually,
Do you think?
Jeremy Frimpong will be there.
Yeah,
No,
sure.
I'm
Forgot
not
about
sure
that.
we will be. Um, but actually, Liverpool's quite interesting here for these two fixtures. So the gaps between the Wolves and the Leeds fixtures is 5 days. And they haven't really got the squad to piss about much at the moment. So actually, you might be good things. I think ordinarily you'd have gone into it and be like, oh, well, is Gakpo going to play? Is Vert's going to play? I'm not sure. After this weekend, you'll be able to pick 9 or 11 that will play against Wolves without a doubt, I think.
But then where do you go from the fantasy perspective amongst that nine?
That's a whole different matter, Clates.
Because I
But
want some.
ultimately, it's two prime fixtures, isn't it?
Yeah. But that's one where I look at that and after those two, it's Fulham away, Arsenal away. I could see 1 to 2 to 3 changes between the Fulham and Arsenal games to try and kind of go hell for leather against Wolves and Leeds, see if they can get the 3 points at Fulham while keeping some freshness to then arrive at the Emirates in like the best shape they can.
I would say though that they pick probably as close to a stronger team as he can for those two important games at home for fantasy managers.
Yeah,
I think it looks all right.
me too.
Just to cover a few others off, Igor Thiago, one of Everton away in 20 or Sunderland at home in 21. I'd say it's a strong chance doesn't start. Remember, and that's just the spacing of the games.
Yeah.
We saw that recently where he was benched at Arsenal. There might have been a consequence of the opponent, save for Tottenham game. Somehow they were worse at Tottenham. But the spacing of Brentford's games means I think Tottenham, then Everton 3 days and Sunderland 3 days means there's a chance there that something he's not starting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Remember, this is a player with ACL injury.
Forgot about
Palace, Oliver Glasner will pick the same team no matter what.
that. Yep.
Let's me and David will cover on Friday. I'm sure whatever he does against Cups on Thursday night. Tottenham, you're stupid.
I saw a
Um,
reel produced by Nico where what was it you said? Like just the worst
yeah,
team for fantasy in the league. Move on.
yeah. Well, they are, and actually, he's going to piss about with the team if the caretaker's still in charge. He's going to piss about with the team a lot over those fixtures. It looks like a nightmare schedule again. Arsenal, just quickly, Clayton, your thoughts. So Brighton at home and Villa at home 3 days later. 4 days to Bournemouth. Then it's nice you've got the 5 days before the Liverpool game.
I think you've seen it in the last three, right? Brentford, Villa, Wolves. He is making changes game to game, and I think that will continue as we possibly get a Havertz, a Gabriel back. So I think there will be changes in and around it. Ironically, like not a conversation for today. I think he's got the lineup wrong the last two games, by the way. But yeah, I think there will be changes in and around that. Like we've seen, we're kind of shitting it with injuries again. So I think he'll try to rotate the squad to try minimize that and put the best team out to win. So there will be people sat there with Eze's
I mean, there's no
poss-
way Eze starts all 4 games over that period. I
exactly.
would say the same for Odegaard.
I would even say Saka. I think there may be a game in that Madueke plays on one side, Trossard, Eze on the left. Like, yeah, I don't. I would say right now, I don't even think Saka would start all four of them.
This is why over this period you get drawn to people like Bruno Fernandes, Jared Bowen. You're getting 90 off these guys every game, and there's not really much doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Chelsea, we should wait till game week 21 or game week 24, depending on your preference of their fixture turns. Chelsea next in Europe play Clayton.
Paphos, we are going to
It's
Greece.
not for like a month, by the way, but
Have you been to Paphos, by the way? I feel like it's quite a popular destination for
can't
Brit.
remember. It's the sort of place you'd go to and probably not remember.
Sorry,
No,
that's it. What's that?
it's the sort of place you'd go to and not remember. And then you
Uh,
rubbed your head as if like, have I been there or not?
no, because I was confusing it. It's Cyprus, not Greece, and I feel like that's very offensive. So I'm sorry
Oh,
to
geez,
people. I
cancelled.
know. Yeah, that's a terrible start.
Clayton's
But
views are not necessarily representative, or his own team statements are not
call
necessarily
my
views of Planet
lawyer.
FPL. The wrong thing comes out of my mouth at least once every podcast, Clayton. Don't worry about it.
But no, it is it's a very popular holiday destination. But one thing when I was doing my research, so I'm sure we've all heard of like Cypriot and some Greek teams that have like a Nicosia in there, and then the other one was Limassol. I don't know if you've heard of them, but like there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, we played
Um,
them.
oh, have you?
Yeah,
But like there was quite a
and
few.
Nicosia. We played both of them.
Oh, okay. But yeah, there's quite a few teams from that region that have that, and Paphos essentially was formed because they didn't want that kind of fragmented and I guess what was perceived as like an unsustainable thing. They just wanted one team to be the identity of that area. So I found that quite cool. But they're a very young team. They're literally 11 years old because they didn't form until 2014. And yeah, I'm just looking at a map to confirm it is Cyprus. So I
Yeah,
apologize.
we know that, mate.
But yeah, it's an area. It's on like the western bit of Cyprus, but it's not really known for football. I
No,
think like tourism's the big
holiday
one. Like,
destination, mate.
yeah, I was jesting, but that's kind of what it is. Whereas I do think, especially Nicosia, people do associate with football. But yeah, they were formed in June 2014 because, like I said, there was two local clubs. There was one called AEP Paphos and AEK Kuklia, and yeah, the story goes that apparently within the football community there, they thought that the district was a bit fragmented. They didn't think it was sustainable. So there was a vote to actually merge the operations to create one club. And it wasn't like a rebrand. This was like a proper new, like, this is a new football club. It's going to be a modern club. We're going to give it like one single identity. So it wasn't like a merging of the two clubs, which I think when we've covered some other clubs before, it was like, yeah, this club and this club merged together and they became this. This is like, nope, this is a brand new club. They did pretty well initially. They started in the second division and they went up immediately. They finished runners up in the 14-15 season and yeah, they did pretty well. Next season, reality hits. They got relegated. I went straight back down in the 15-16 season. And yeah, I think the story that I kind of got the vibe of when I was reading is like people couldn't quite work out what the aspirations were. It's like, okay, we've got this new club. They represent this part of the country, but what do we actually want to be? They then were yo-yoing. They went straight back up in 16-17. They got promotion at the first attempt. And then that's where they started actually getting a bit of momentum. And in 2017, they got taken over in the control of Total Sports Investments, who was led by a British-backed guy called Roman Dubov. And he was kind of the catalyst to a lot of the success I'll talk about in a bit. But he was quite strategic with what he did. He kind of went in and he actually invested in the training facilities and he improved the academy structure. They started to run like with a bit of an actual long-term plan rather than the yo-yo stuff you're seeing at the start. And then you kind of fast forward to June 2023, which is only 2 years ago, and they appointed a coach who was called Juan Carlos Carcedo. And he apparently came in with like a real clear tactical philosophy of what they wanted to be. And then that's where you start to see a bit of structure, a bit of consistency domestically within the cups and stuff. And May 2024, so literally last year, they actually won the Cypriot Cup. It's the first major trophy in their very young history. They beat Omania Nicosia
You
3
played
0.
them. in Europe. I think they beat you in the
Did they?
90s, I want to say. Yeah.
Oh,
I
damn.
think they knocked you out of Europe in the 90s. I'm going to check that. Carry
Yeah.
on.
But yeah, that's one of the Nicosia teams, and that final was actually in there. So yeah, to win that 3-0, it wasn't even like it was like a smash and grab or anything. It's like they won that comfortably and resoundingly, which was quite impressive. And that obviously put them in Europe for the first time in their short history. So they debuted in the Conference League in the 24-25 season last year. I'm surprised we didn't cover them last year, just looking back through some of their achievements and stuff, because we obviously were covering a few European clubs last season, but they managed to get to the round of 16 last year. And like on their journey, especially in the qualifiers, were they were losing in the first leg to a team called Zalgiris, and they managed to overturn that. They knocked out CSKA 1948. They beat a big team in CFR Cluj on penalties. They obviously reached the league phase. They then got to the round of 16. Yeah, so they did pretty well. And I think that kind of put them on the map a little bit. Like, I do remember us talking about them even if we didn't cover them specifically and stuff. I feel like there's some teams that you tell me we're going to cover, and I'm like, who? Whereas,
This is where we find out that we did cover Paphos a year ago, and you've just completely forgotten all this.
yeah, probably.
No joke. By the way, you did play Ammonia Nicosia. You did not lose. You played them in 1994, but you beat them home and away.
Fair play. And yeah, so 24-25 season, this is the one that kind of changed everything for them. They won the league, and they're actually top of the league right now as well. So their defense is going very well. But yeah, winning the league obviously put them into the Champions League. And sorry, it didn't put them in the Champions League. It put them in the qualifiers. So they still had to get there. But they've done really well. They've knocked out Maccabi Tel Aviv. They beat Dynamo Kiev. They beat Red Star Belgrade in the playoffs. They're not pulling up any trees in the league phase, but would you expect them to? But saying that, I mean, so let
So
me find.
okay, creditable results, and I mean, like, they drew. I want to say their first game at Olympiacos 0-0 and played the majority of the
Yeah,
game with 10 men.
and they drew to Monaco as well. They just played Juve and lost 2-0, but they beat Villarreal at home, which I think is pretty impressive. So they're currently sat 26th, 6 games played, 6 points. Obviously, you'd want to be in that top 24 to be able to go into the playoffs and stuff. But yeah, think from how young they are and like what the investment has been to get to this point and beat some of the teams they did. Like some of those teams I mentioned in the playoffs, they're no joke. Like they're big.
Historical names in there as well, like Dynamo
Yeah,
Kiev and Red Star are historical names, whereas Paphos
exactly.
is a new football club.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, quite impressive. You asked me about the badge. Now, I don't know if Nico's going to put it on the screen or if people should Google it, but their badge is very interesting because you were like, it's just a random bloke. And
He looks a bit like me, arguably.
but I had the same reaction, so I wanted to Google it. I was like, "Who is that? That's got to be someone." So it's based on, that one of the first teams I mentioned, AEP Paphos. It's based on that old identity,
Okay,
but it's refreshed to like focus on a guy called Ivagoros Palakaradis, who's like a Cypriot national
well
hero.
done. Don't spell
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But he's like a Cypriot national hero, so it's like an ode to him.
Okay,
So yeah, that's who said random bloke is on their stadium, by the way, because we had this with there was a team Chelsea played last year. I want to say it was that Kairat? No, it was a Kazakhstani team, but they
Astana, I think Chelsea
Astana.
played in
So it's
Conference League last year. I want to say.
good memory, but similar story with Paphos, where like they played domestically at a stadium called the Stelios Kyriakides Stadium. But for Europe, they have to move because of like the infrastructure and all of that stuff. So they moved to another part of Cyprus. But yeah, that's a little bit about Paphos. And like you said, Chelsea will be playing them. When's that now? Is that next?
It's not for like 4 weeks,
Yeah,
mate.
it's a while, isn't it? But yeah, I hope they make it through into like the playoffs at least.
Their last game, Slavia Prague at home, and won't expect to get anything at Chelsea. But Slavia at home, if they won that, and Slavia, there's a chance Slavia play Barcelona next, so Slavia could be out, could be dead rubber for them. Beat Slavia, put them on 9 points, to be borderline.
Yeah, I think they'll
It
fall
needed
short.
10 last year. I don't think it'll quite need 10, but it might be 9 and goal difference, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think they'll unfortunately fall just short, but still pretty amazing. I think to even get to the point where in the league they are in the league phase with some of the opponents they had to play domestically, like I said, they're top of the league. They're 4 points clear of Omonia Nicosia. So yeah,
Yeah,
14
listen,
games.
they've lost 2 out of 6 games. They lost to Bayern Munich and Juventus. They've not been disgraced by any means, mate.
Exactly. Yeah, doing very well. So yeah, pretty cool. But like it's
We,
sorry, go on.
no, 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 finish.
I was just going to say, so what I was saying about like the amount of other teams there are within regions. So I'm just looking at the league table now. So Nicosia alone has Omonia Nicosia, Apoel Nicosia, Olympiakos Nicosia. Then there's Limassol that has Aris, Apollon, AEL. Then there's a couple others that I'm not going to try to pronounce. So like I do
Why
think
not?
it's don't want to offend anyone, but
I think
it's
we're past that point, mate.
yeah. But like I think it's quite cool that they kind of decided to consolidate and double down on a one. I don't know if it's classed as a region identity, but I think that's pretty cool.
What I was going to say is we, as in my football club, played another Cypriot team, Anophosis Famagusta.
Oh,
Exactly. Check that out. They're, I think they're 11th out of the 14 teams in the top division now. We played them. I want to say Tamari Ketspire might have been managing them from memory. I might have that completely wrong. But I
oh
think he might have been. You remember Ketspire, didn't you? One of the greatest ever Premier League goal celebrations when he took his shirt off and he started booting the advertising horde,
yeah.
tried to take his boots off. Proper classic celebration.
There's another mate of yours I forgot to say plays at Paphos. No, it is
Sush.
Sideshow Bob.
Oh, David Luiz,
Yeah, he
the
plays for
the
Paphos.
the the OG.
Yeah, he plays for Paphos.
Yeah, that's a good point to move on. I think you must miss him like a hole in the head when you watch Gabriel and Saliba.
Well, with
Um,
what I watched on Saturday, stop flapping out.
well, yeah. Um, why did you go so deep, mate? Actually, don't. We talk
I
about it
don't
on
know.
Clash of Correspondence tomorrow. I defend you a lot when you go deep. I couldn't on
Ask.
Saturday.
I'm curious. I'm sure you're going to ask him anyway. Ask Adam what he thought about the lineup because I'm very curious in that. I
Well,
think
I
he's.
can't because we recorded it last night.
Oh,
It'll
have you
be
done it?
available
Okay.
for patrons later today. Everyone else tomorrow. Um, moving on. Let's finish with
All
on
right.
this
We're
day.
going back to COVID, right? This period of
We are going to COVID. Yeah, on this
this,
day, 2020, midweek set of fixtures.
this period of football is a little bit erased from my memory. A because it was weird. B we were shite.
I mean, it was erased from my memory for multiple reasons. Yeah, on this day, 5 years ago in the Premier League, midweek set of fixtures, the top two, separated only by goal difference, played each other.
Liverpool City,
Liverpool is correct.
not City.
No, Liverpool weren't even top. It was second, behind on goal difference. Don't worry, they went top after winning this one.
Ah, Chelsea.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure most Tottenham fans have forgotten that they were top of the league in December as well, mate.
Flipping hell. Really?
The manager went 3 months afterwards. That's how bad that following 3 months were.
Jesus.
Yes, somehow on the 16th December 2020, Tottenham Hotspur went to Anfield, top of the league on goal difference. And unbelievably, Clayton, people were describing this as a potential title decider. as,
Sorry,
if,
who
as
was
if
your manager?
didn't just warp people's minds enough.
Who was in charge at the time?
Mourinho.
Flipping hell.
I know people saying, "Can you win it?" And I'm like, "Mate, we've got Højbjerg and Sissoko in midfield. Can people be serious here?" But the two boys up front were on absolute fire. Kane and Son were doing bits, and we'd had several mental away wins. We won 6-1 at Manchester United. There was the 5-2 at Southampton when Kane assisted Son for 4 goals and then scored himself. And actually, we hadn't lost since the opening day of the season. We lost at home to Everton in a woeful performance, and didn't lose then. Now, remember, this is mid-December. We're not approaching game 17 here. This was approaching game 13, I think. The night before, Manchester City had drawn at home to West Brom inexplicably. A West Brom side that was really struggling with only Sheffield United, well, I think we're on 1 point at the time, below them. And I want to say Slaven Bilic got the boot just afterwards, after drawing at the Etihad, I think, but they hadn't been doing well. City were well adrift. City were like ninth. The table was weird, right? I mean, Liverpool were set that Liverpool did the 7-2 at Villa. The whole thing was weird. I, like you, feel like it's almost like a time that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's very strange.
This was also a significant week because there were fans in the ground, and what they were trying to do was trial clubs. There were certain clubs. It wasn't everyone, but it was about 12 or 13 clubs could have
Yeah,
2,000 in the ground
we
for
had
a
it at,
home game over
I,
this period,
I
and
think
then they
we,
had to strip it back again. So there was 2,000 on a cop for this.
yeah, we did it with Brighton at home, I think.
Yeah, and we had it against yourselves as well.
Yeah.
Most teams did have someone 2,000 in the ground in this period, and then it got canned again
Fucking
before
hell, even
Christmas.
that, I
Unfortunately,
forgot about that
yeah,
as
I
a
know.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tottenham go to Liverpool. They're going to win at Anfield and going to win the league, aren't they? With Sissoko and Højbjerg in midfield, along with Giovanni Lo Celso and Steven Bergwijn, with fullbacks of Ben Davis and Serge Aurier. Yeah, you were drunk. Eric Dyer at centre back with Toby Alderweireld. Both had seen better days by this point. Hugo in goal. Obviously, Harry up front and Sonny. And Sonny was fine. He scored 10 league goals. I think he was nearly won a game at this point. The Liverpool lineup, it's all fairly familiar. Allison in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, boo. Reece Williams, do you remember Reece Williams?
I do, yeah. Where's he now?
He's at Liverpool.
Is he still?
Yeah. So I actually, because I was like, I did the same reaction to you. I was like, shit, that fella had to play a lot that year because after this, I mean, clearly they already had injury issues. Van Dijk had done his ACL at Everton. They already had injury issues, but it was about to get worse. It's Reece Williams and Fabinho at centre back, Andy Robertson left back. I had a look at Reece Williams' career because I was like, where is he? He's still at Liverpool.
He
In
did go
this,
somewhere though.
what's that?
I think he did go somewhere.
Yeah, loans.
Yeah.
So in the season before, he'd played 26 times for Kidderminster Harriers in National League North, then was playing in this. The following season, he played 5 games on loan at Swansea. The following season, he had a 17-game loan at Blackpool. Those were both in the Championship. The following year, he had loans at Aberdeen in Scotland and Port Vale in League One and didn't make a single league appearance for either.
Wow.
And in 24-25, he played 33 games for Morecambe in League Two. Or if you've seen this absolutely brilliant clip with Peter Crouch over the last week or so, now forever known as Morecambe. Um, who was it you said? Was it Lewis Garcia?
My
Who did Lewis
no,
Garcia? Was it you said it? It's so
what?
funny.
Wekombe.
Morecambe, that was it. Morecambe. Go search for that. That's a really good clip. That in midfield, Vinaldum, Henderson, Curtis Jones already in the team by this point. Salah, Firmino, Mane up front. Them three together weren't too bad at all. Guess what Tottenham did? They went low block defensive and tried to look for Heung-min Son quickly on the counter attack. Liverpool had a succession of early chances, but then the goal that they got actually was a little bit fortuitous. Ball breaks to Mo on the edge of the box, takes a shot. I think it's Alderweireld goes to block him, and the ball just spins up over Loris. He's got no chance. Scores 1-0 up. Liverpool completely dominant. Against the run and play, Lo Celso manages to send Son away. I remember sitting in the armchair at home because I wasn't allowed to be there. Son scoring, not celebrating, absolutely convinced it was offside. They looked at it for about 3 or 4 minutes. And he still looks offside. I just watched it back this morning. He still looks offside. Jurgen Klopp says, I've watched it. You don't need to look at it like he looks offside. No. They determined he was onside. Fine, we'll take it. We should be 3 or 4-1 down at half time. But the second half was quite interesting because although the pattern of the play remained the same, Liverpool dominating, they had like 75% of the possession in this game, 17 shots, 11 shots on target. The best chance in that second half went to my team. So Steven Bergwijn had 2 1-on-1s, one on the angle he put just wide, and then another one he hit the inside of the post. And Harry Kane, inexplicably from a corner, managed to get a free header from pretty much 8 yards out, centre of goal, and headed it down so well that it bounced back up over the bar.
No.
Now, would we have deserved the points? No. but it was possibly a little bit of a turning point for Mourinho because 3 or 4 days later, we played Leicester at home and we lost 2-0, inspired by James Maddison, I might add, and should have lost about 4 or 5-0. Absolutely awful. And it went very quickly downhill from there. And it went downhill at the end of this game because in injury time, Andy Robertson swung over a corner. Roberto Firmino managed to get free of Toby Alderweireld and powered a header into the top bin. It's perfect top bin. You know, like when a net meets, you
Yeah.
put it right in that bit, so the ball just dies. Hits the net, bang, dies. No going round the net or anything, just dies. He runs wheeling away to the packed out Cop with 2,000 on it, and Liverpool have won to go back top of the league and end Tottenham's faint hopes. And at that point, it very much looked like Liverpool, who remember were champions, despite these issues defensively. There's a theme here, Clay. Let's keep this in mind. That it was done. 3 days later, Liverpool went to Crystal Palace in the league. Remember what happened?
I'm going to assume they lost. I can't pretend I remember, though.
Mo Salah was benched. And I can't remember what happened in the FPL community. I think at that time it's possible that we knew because it was the early kickoff and there may well have been
It
easy
came
leaks
on.
going around. Yeah. So in Sky, which is now obviously cloud fantasy football, all of us who owned him changed the captaincy because
I
you
do
could change the
remember this.
captaincy till kickoff of the first game, and
You're
Liverpool
right.
Crystal Palace was it.
We got a leak, though.
And
You're
and
right.
those who didn't know the team just obviously had it set previously on Salah, and they won because Salah came off the bench and scored twice in a 7-0 victory for Liverpool at Crystal Palace, and it was not a fluke scoreline either.
Yeah. There's me going, I don't know. Did they lose?
And I sat on this podcast on the Monday afterwards and went, that is done. There is no way, having won that game that was, and they should have won comfortably, but ended up close against Tottenham, which they could have actually lost. Then won 7-0 at Palace, which is one of them piss off and leave games. And City were stumbling, drawing home to West Brom. You were 14th, by the way.
I know, mate. This is why I'm like,
Well off it.
yeah.
It was like, well, they're going to piss it again because even though they've got a few issues happening defensively, they're scoring too much. After that, Liverpool went on that horrendous run.
Yeah.
I think their next win in the league was against Tottenham.
When was that?
Admittedly, it's not as bad as it sounds. We did play each other again in January. But Liverpool went on this mad run, didn't they? Lost at home to Burnley, Brighton, Fulham.
Yep.
There's someone else in there as well, I think. But yeah, they went on a terrible run. And there's a lesson there. I'd said that Liverpool had the title won.
You said it with us this year, you bastard, as well.
I know. Are you nervous?
Yeah.
Is it too early for nerves, though?
No. I think nerves will be there throughout the
Are
whole
you
season.
like looking for City straight away? Like, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, obviously Adam's got his COTC tomorrow, but like, yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts around self-inflicted issues we brought on ourselves recently, actually.
All right. I meant to say something, but I can't bother.
No, well covered. It's that period of football is very strange to me. It's I need to watch Premier League years through it, but I don't think I want to.
When I watch a lot of it back, even the Tottenham stuff, it doesn't feel real. Like for me, obviously, 'cause I'm always a part of it, always going to the games. It just feels like something that's just away from me. Like it didn't really happen.
The thing I remember the most was when the Bundesliga came back, because I think that was the first league that started. And then I remember the Sheffield United Villa game, the VAR, all of that. So like,
Taking a knee.
Yeah, I've got like moments that are stuck in my head rather than a general recollection of the season, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Nicely done.
Enjoyed that. Thank you very much. As said, COTC tomorrow, Everton versus Arsenal with Sean and Adam. That'll be available for patrons today. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. Reminder, all patrons get bumped up to the tier above throughout December. That's all of the podcasts available from basic tier. But as always, everyone, smash a like, hit the sub button. Please be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man. Shop.